Hello, good evening, good evening. Welcome to tonight's Gua Sha Q&A. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for joining. I know Jules is here, she's just been texting me. Hello guys, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you, Team Katie Brindle, keeping me in check. Making sure that I don't overstep the mark. Moi? Imagine. Anyway, here we all are. Hello, Harmony Massage, Black Silver. Hi guys. Thank you all for joining. It's a lovely Sunday evening. I've had such a nice afternoon. We did a lovely meditation at lunchtime. Oh, it's just left me in a total relaxation for the rest of the afternoon. So, what do you think? Oh, well, I'll put my hair up just because it's looking a complete mess. The kind of lockdown hair is becoming a little bit of a problem. So I think it's going to have to be up now for a little while. Anyway, very welcome this evening. Thank you all so much for joining me. We have some lovely questions tonight to answer. And of course, do please ask anything else. Oh, Russian Bathhouse has joined. Oh, I was just talking about you this afternoon, Russian Bathhouse. In so much as rather missing the Russian bathhouse experience. If anyone's interested in that, please have a look. Russian Bathhouse. They once lockdown's finished, they do these amazing banyas in London, and I used to go every week, and I love them. They're amazing. They're so good for you. Thank you very much. Wow. Well, who'd have thought a bad hair day was going to turn into actually clearly quite a good hair day after all that. A bit of Trini makeup, Right. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining me this evening. It's lovely to see you all. Yes, Russian, but I know, Russian banyas. If anybody is interested, we talk a lot about bathing. Obviously, I talk about it in my book. We talk about it with the Hey You bathing products. We've got the shower minerals and we've got the bath minerals. And the Russian bathhouse basically takes it to its absolute kind of limit of brilliance in terms of the hot-cold contrast and using wonderful techniques. In fact, they have a tapper not dissimilar to this one because they use eucalyptus branches and they tap you with it in extreme heat. It's absolutely brilliant. Oh, thank you, Jan. Oh my God, all these compliments. I can't believe it. Who'd have thought a bit of lippy and an updo was going to make such a sublime difference to the way that I look. Clearly, I need to make more effort at 5 to 8 in the morning, guys. Anyway, so if anyone's ever interested after lockdown, I would urge you to at least follow the Russian Bathhouse. Guys, put your name back into the thing so everyone knows who you are. My absolute favourite health treat. In fact, if anyone who knows me well knows that I never go for dinner, I just go there. Anyway, so we've had some lovely questions this evening, which I will answer. And do smoke it? Well, it's hardly. What did I use? You see, I've got my little Trini stash here. This is what I use. In fact, let me just start with that before I go into my things. So when I did my recording with Trini, she actually gave me some makeup. Can you believe? So there, that's what she gave me. She chose my colours herself. So thank you very much, Trini. Gua Sha pigmentation, yes, you can. I would normally recommend the Precision for pigmentation. And also do please follow Katie _ the Skin Whisperer _ not wishing to send you into other places, but she is our top therapist. And she specialises in doing pigmentation with the Precision, and she can really, really show you the detail as to how it will work. So that's just quite a useful little trick for you there. Now, one of the questions that we were asked today to talk about was PCOS, which is obviously Polycystic Ovary Syndrome. This is where Mr. Brindle will bid a hasty retreat. The minute he hears me talking about anything to do with women's lady parts, he bids a basic retreat. But polycystic ovaries is a major thing. It comes up all the time. And interestingly, there are 3 different reasons as to why you get polycystic ovary syndrome. And one of the main things is to do with the spleen deficiency. It's to do with too much damp inside the body. And let me just talk about that for a minute, because I know obviously we're all very much on Katie Brindle territory here. So we've got these amazing fact sheets which are linked in the bio, which you can just download, and we do all of them. And the key to Chinese medicine is to recognise that basically there are 12 organs in the body in our medicine, and they all are responsible for every aspect of your health, whether it's your emotional health, your spirituality, or your physical body, okay? And it's a bit like a chessboard. There's a kind of hierarchy of these organs. They all have their roles to do, but some kind of are more important than others. The heart being the emperor of the body, and then it's got what they call its officials, and the officials are the lungs, the spleen, the liver, and the kidneys. And they all have a major relationship with each other, and in terms of what it is that they do for the body. And when you're dealing with something like PCOS, the first organ that we tend to look at, there's three in total, but sort of in no particular order. The spleen is normally where I start. The spleen is on the left-hand side of the ribs, and it's basically responsible in Chinese medicine loosely for the digestion. And when you're looking at too much damp inside the body, it's normally the spleen that's the culprit. We say that it's responsible for the transformation and transportation of food and fluids, which means, i.e., what you're eating goes into the body as like food and drink. It goes into what Chinese medicine deems the stomach to be this bubbling cauldron. And then the spleen has the energetic responsibility of converting all of that into blood. Okay, and if there's too much damp inside your body, the spleen is going to start getting affected. And that's normally created because the kind of foods that we're eating are not quite right, and the way in which we're eating our food isn't quite right. So sort of the mechanics of eating. And the thing about living in the UK, I know some people here aren't in the UK, but certainly in the developed world, is what we eat isn't necessarily quite right according to what the body wants. And even if you think you have a really healthy diet, by Chinese standards, once I learned what a healthy diet actually was, I thought, oh God, we are way short of the mark. I mean, a proper healthy diet is absolute, like seasonal eating, fresh out of your garden, like fresh out of the sea, cooked to perfection, sat at a very relaxed environment with sort of, harmony and music and dim lights and chewing your food and allowing 20 minutes to digest. And I'm thinking, right, well, I know all this, and the chances of me actually having a family dinner with calm music and it's 20 minutes to digest is practically non-existent. It's normally a rushed bit of lunch whilst I'm still working, followed by cooking tea for the kids, and there's inevitably some squabble between somebody that I have to adjudicate and trying to stop the dogs eating the leftovers. Sounds slightly more kind of like what's actually going on in my household. So, and I know this stuff. I've written a book about it. So it's really important nonetheless to do your absolute best to look after your spleen. And there are some very basic kind of things that we should absolutely not do, okay? And one of them is not put any ice in your drinks. Can I do a masterclass on diet? It's on this. We've done a masterclass on diet, but actually, if there's time this evening, I'll talk about it a bit more. Okay, let me just write it on my sheet. Hang on. So I will do diet. As Jules know, I love talking about diet. It's one of my favourite topics, having had to do many over the years and come out the other end. It's nothing I like more than imparting my pearls of wisdom about weight loss. So basically, the thing about the spleen is you must try and stop the damp, okay? So that's no ice in drinks, nothing straight out of your fridge, and avoiding the 4 whites, okay? And the 4 whites are sugar, wheat. Jules is like, oh my God, no on diets again, please give me a break. Amanda's watching. Listen, guys, I'm going to talk about diet in a minute. Dawn, don't start asking about SPF. You'll trigger off Jan. Even Jasmine was asking. She was texting me going, what's all this about SPF? Anyway, right, I've lost my train of thought. Right, nothing cold. Avoid the 4 whites. Flour, sugar, salt and wheat. Now, I know I'm busted now because Amanda, who basically runs my entire life, knows jolly well that I eat mini eggs every single night. So I'm sitting here preaching all this great stuff, but the reality is I don't absolutely stick to it myself. That said, I do a lot of it. And what else do we not do? We eat regularly. You always try and eat the same. Jan, don't you start up, Jan. There's always Jan in the mix when there's trouble going on behind the scenes on this live feed. So basically you must always eat like a metronome, okay? Your stomach is the size of a fist. Try not to kind of massively gorge yourself at one meal and then completely starve yourself the next. The stomach likes regularity. The body likes regularity. If you think about how you bring up a baby, well, human bodies are not dissimilar, and spleens don't particularly like kind of just being assaulted with food sort of twice a day and then starved the rest of the time and then shoved onto a kind of extreme diet only to sort of binge at the weekend. All of this stuff is notoriously bad for your spleens and in turn leads to PCOS or could do. And the other organ that often gets involved with PCOS is the kidneys themselves, because the kidneys are responsible in Chinese medicine for the reproductive system. So your fertility, of which your ovaries are part. So if the kidneys are deficient, often in what we call the yang of the kidney, which is the kind of like the motion of the kidney, often you start to get kind of problems with fertility or problems with kind of cysts and lumps and things just kind of like not functioning correctly. And the sort of symptoms of that would be a sort of general feeling of sort of lassitude, a feeling of kind of aversion to cold, kind of apathy, especially in the afternoon. If you get tiredness at around 3 o'clock, I'm literally just describing myself here before I learnt all this stuff. These are the kind of things that kind of create problems with the kidney yang. And kidneys often get completely walloped by modern living. The stress response is really, really bad for the kidneys because of the relationship with the adrenal glands, and the kidneys are also responsible with fear. And so that whole fight or flight that goes on during the stress response has a massive impact on our kidneys, all of which in turn has a bit of a problem on our ovaries. The other aspect is the liver, and the liver is responsible for the smooth flow of chi and blood around the body. Okay, so the heart pumps it, but the liver's more about sort of cell to cell osmosis. And what happens is when the body kind of heats up, because it gets stressed and we're sort of rushing around, so there's all this sort of kinetic heat kind of happening. The liver's kind of likes things to sort of go slowly. That's why livers love qigong so much and tapping. And if everything starts to kind of get a bit sort of kind of, because we're sort of stressed like this, and then we're getting hot, the liver starts to get agitated. And often what happens is this kind of excess damp that's been created by the not quite right diet and the kidneys not quite doing their job properly. Suddenly you've got these fluids floating about and heat. And then the liver gets involved, and it starts to things start to get lumpy. They start to kind of like get a bit dry. The fluids stop flowing, and they start drying up and getting sort of lumpy, bumpy. And that's when things start to kind of form as sort of cysts and that kind of thing. So that's one of the main reasons for PCOS. So what we recommend is, can I just say, I'm sure Jules has written this down, but first of all, to say that this is not an alternative to Western medicine advice. I'm merely giving you the Chinese perspective on things. You must always consult your doctor, always speak to your GP, and this is extra support. But what we're looking at with Yang Sheng is to basically support the organs. And if you support the organs at the sort of the grassroots, then you can work alongside very happily with Western medicine, just as if I was giving you some dietary advice. So, but this is not a substitute. So what we look to do if you've got PCOS is to basically look at the spleen, kidney and liver fact sheets. So it's all about sort of regularity. And as usual, it takes us back to doing Qigong, doing meditation, allowing the body to relax, giving it regular eating patterns, understanding what's going on with your body, understanding what's going on in your day-to-day life. So if I've described anything that sounds vaguely familiar, i.e. we're rushing around, having to do too much because we have so much to do, and then our eating goes up the swanny, or we go on a diet and then, you know, we're starving ourselves and then we're eating too much and then we're having iced cold drinks and all the rest of it. This is what's causing the problem. So the best thing to do is we need to allow the body to go into rest mode, and we need to smooth the liver and strengthen the spleen. And this is why we do the Qigong each morning, because that's exactly what that teaches us to do. And the meditation at lunchtime allows the body to go into rest response. But if that's all a bit much, and you think, oh, I haven't got time for all that, that's really why I created the Hey You method, because the idea was to completely distill all this knowledge that I go on about all the time and I love, into these like really simple steps. And so the idea is that you take like your shower minerals, and this is when you do the breathing. You do it in the shower. Just 5 deep breaths will have a massive impact. Or bathe your feet with this at night. Just literally, look, here's my sink here. I just literally stick my feet in the sink and use a bit of this and breathe at the same time. The Taoist masters would breathe into their feet, literally. You're taking your attention all the way down. And of course, use your tapper. So the tapper, basically, you can tap your body in like a minute, okay? And that really, really smooths the liver. It really helps. The liver loves it. It's also, the liver is the wood element in Chinese medicine. These are made of bamboo. So this is a really good way to kind of calm the liver chi. And I personally, at the moment in lockdown, I'm doing the Qigong every day because I'm leading the class, and isn't it fab? But if you don't have time for all that, then just at least, I always say to people, you know, this is the hero product in my opinion. This. I love my bamboo tapper so much. It's light. I mean, literally, it doesn't weigh much more than, just trying to think. I mean, it's not just, okay, it's a bit heavier than my hairbrush. Okay, it weighs less than the shower minerals. Okay, that's how little it weighs. It's really not very much at all, which means it's very good if you're not very well, or you've got impaired mobility, or you're elderly, or but it's also really strong, okay? So you can properly whack yourself with it and get to the kind of the achy bakey bits. Look there, you can see in the mirror, just doing my back and how good that is. That is a very good way to start, and then please follow the dietary advice. And the best way to strengthen up your kidneys is rest. Everyone always goes, oh, water, I must drink more water. It's like, no, please don't drink more water. The Chinese masters say 6 cups is plenty. And all these people like guzzling gallons and gallons of water actually puts more strain on your kidneys. I'm not saying don't drink enough water either, but what we recommend in Chinese medicine is 6 cups a day, and that is enough, unless you're doing like extreme exercise. But then the Taoist masters don't like that either. We like equilibrium and balance in all things. So what we're looking for is basically rest, and the best possible thing to do with your kidneys is rest and meditate, okay? And ideally meditate sort of at some point first thing in the morning and then some point mid-afternoon. And at the moment, we're doing it at lunchtime just because I thought that's kind of a useful time to do it. And I think we should be continuing to do this. Yes, Colgap, I've just seen your point. The point is Qigong really is the answers, okay? I mean, I know I sound like a stuck record, but what actually the answer is, the actual answer is knowing. The answer is actually understanding what's going on in the first place. Intention, okay? Intention leads everything. This is why we're so informative, me and Jules. We love it. We love a bit of chit-chat about the idiosyncrasies of Chinese medicine. It's so interesting to understand what's going on with your body, but you need to know, like, it. Otherwise, if you just do Qigong each morning, it's kind of like, because you're not mentally engaged with, like, why. And the minute your mind is involved with, like, why it's happening, then it makes sense. And then the brain gets involved and you go, oh my God, this is amazing. So suddenly when you're doing this exercise with the Qigong with me in the morning, where you might normally be going, oh, what's she doing? Like now it's like, oh, well, actually she's strengthening the spleen and she's harmonizing the spleen and the liver. Oh, and actually I have polycystic ovaries. That's going to be really good for me. And immediately you've charged it up. Okay, you've got the kind of eureka moment is going to go on with your health. And this is why I find like explaining self-care is such a useful thing to do, because we're not standing in the way at all of Western medicine. We're just giving you how we describe it. And what I love with Chinese medicines, once you've understood it, is that it really is quite simple. I mean, it just distills down to a few basic rules, which are stagnation is death. Rule number 1. I know it sounds a bit melodramatic, but what it means is that if you've got something stuck, that's not a very good idea. So in the case of polycystic ovaries, it means phlegm is getting stuck on the ovaries. Okay, why? Why? Because there's too much damp, spleen. There's the fluids aren't being metabolized properly, spleen and kidneys, and the heat that's probably kinetically being kind of cooked up in your body due to lifestyle isn't being mobilized correctly by the liver, and it's just getting stuck on the ovaries because the kidneys are involved. Et voila, that's how we explain it. So the next question is, oh, okay, well, what do I do about it? Well, obviously speak to your Western doctor, because they will give you all sorts of treatment modalities. But if you as well, then come on the Qigong, because what the Qigong is going to do is it's going to harmonize those 3 organs in those exercises that we do each day. The ones that I do, and then in more detail, the ones that Aaron does as well. And, follow the lifestyle advice. But most of all, it's because you understand what's going on. And that's what's so interesting. It is really empowering, and that is why the strapline to the brand is Master Your Health. Okay, we're not here to contradict. We're not here to contradict anything that Western medicine is saying. We're just saying, look, this is about you understanding what's going on with your body. I mean, like, what's wrong with that? I think the way to describe what we do is like, we're like the toothbrush. So, Western doctors like the dentist, and the dentist has the ultimate say in what's going on with your body, but you'd be mad not to brush your teeth each day. And that's where my brand sits. Like the Hey You method, I'm often describing it to people kind of like brushing your teeth. It takes a couple of minutes a day and it does the trick. It keeps everything moving. So stagnation is death is the first thing that we melodramatically, well, not we, the Chinese used to say. And then the next one is that health is generated by the free flow of qi and blood around the body. Now, what's that? That means that things have to flow smoothly in order for the body to operate correctly, because the way the body works is to purge and nourish. Purge out that doesn't work or is no longer relevant or suiting you or needed, and nourish with goodness. And goodness isn't just about food and supplements. In fact, it isn't at all. Oxygen. And this is, again, we go back to the free stuff. This is why I like to talk to you on my feeds, because it's all free, all of it. Qigong, it's free. The meditation, it's free. Then I'm telling you to gua sha with a jam jar lid and just any old oil you've got kicking around your house. I mean, of course there are products, but you don't need them, okay? You can get a perfectly good benefit from tapping. The tapper's great, but you can use your fingertips. You can. And this stuff works because it's been used and created for thousands of years to serve mankind when, we didn't have an NHS system. There wasn't an NHS in ancient China. If somebody died, if your husband died and you had 6 children, you chances are you'd die too. So you made it your business to understand how to heal with bones and herbs and food and stones and sticks and like anything, fingertips and anything that you had available to you, and that's what they did, and it worked because they worked it all out. So just we forgot about it because I think largely Western medicine's so amazing. We've all just got a bit complacent because we just thought, we can just do what we like and then they'll sort it out for us. They'll just fix it and it's free, so great, we don't have to bother. But suddenly, kind of, it's become rather relevant to bother and actually to understand and to know, because we don't really want to bother our doctors right now with anything other than like total necessities. So that is why, no, I'm definitely not trying to, I am not trying to, I get nutty, I get told off on a Monday morning about the fact that I sit here banging on about soup spoons and jam jar lids and going on Trini with this rather than crystals. But you know what, the most important thing is the knowledge. It's not even joining me on the meditations and the Qigongs. It's about, this is the stuff that's interesting. And Jules and I are going to great lengths at the moment to get all these fact sheets up for you. None of them are up yet, sorry. There's only 2 of us. But they are all kind of, we're going to be rolling them out. And all these fact sheets will be free and they will have all of this information here for you. So in the meantime, you get me banging on about it and Jules helping you along the way. So that was that one. And then... I'll come back to diets in a minute, but I did have a lady talking to me about COPD, which is chronic obstruction pulmonary disease, which basically means when the lungs feel obstructed. And what's this? Yes, good. Oh, good. With your, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased. Well, I am proud of my products. I have to say, I do love what I do, and everything that which is on the Hey method, I absolutely, from my heart, religiously use every single day. In fact, you can see under the makeup here, which is probably why I've got some makeup on, because I was hacking away at my face this afternoon with the precisions, because I was doing this. I was working on these lines, and there's loads of shine up here now. Kind of makes it look like I've got accentuated cheekbones. But anyway, so pulmonary disease in this instance, or pulmonary obstruction, is normally an imbalance, interestingly, of the liver and the heart. And then what's happening is it's manifesting in the lungs. And one of the best ways to deal with this, of course, is to look at the liver and the heart fact sheet. But also you've got to harmonise the liver and the heart, because you see the liver is responsible for the smooth flow of qi in blood. Okay, that means the cell to cell, oxygen going into cells, carbon dioxide coming out, waste products being removed, nutrition going in, okay, the menstrual flow, the smoothness. If you're clumsy, it normally means the liver's not, like, the body needs to move gracefully. That's why we like dancing and stuff. This is the liver, okay? The heart is the pump, and this pumps the blood around the body, and you need both, okay? It's not just one or the other, it's a combination of the two. And there's a couple of really interesting points on the body that, if I've just described anything like that, if you've got COPD, obviously for starters, but if I've just described, irregular, like when the livers aren't happy, we tend to be moody, we get PMT, we get bad periods, we get period pain, we get headaches, migraines, clumsiness, sighing, hiccups, anything like that. It normally means that the liver's not harmonised very well. So obviously Qigong is really good, but there's also another quite useful little technique, which is this little bit here. You do this with your fingertips. So here's my elbow, I'm just in front of it. Just there. And just above it here. It's more there really, just above. This is a really lovely area for harmonising. Oh, it feels really relaxing. Just try it. This really relaxes. So it's just above the arm. I'm getting confused trying to show you on my phone. It's just above the cubital fossa, which is there. It's just here. And this harmonises the liver and the heart. And what this does is it really harmonises flow of the blood. And it really relaxes the body. So nice. So this is a really simple one to do if you're feeling a bit strung out. There. You can just use your fingertips like that. You can also work on the armpit as well. This is a really important area. No, both. Oh, so it feels a bit weird, like tapping my armpit on IGTV. I'm not sure if this is necessarily a thing. I don't know what the Kardashians would make of this, but never mind. Okay, let's go back to it. It looks a bit more graceful. Oh, it feels so lovely. And this is what I love about Chinese medicine. Yeah, both sides. Because it really relaxes the body. And Chinese medicine, they just understand all these nuances of the body. And the thing is, this relaxes. The thing is, when you've got the obstruction, it's because everything's kind of getting tight and stuck like this, and the circulation's got to go, and the heart's going, because the liver's like, and it all starts to just get a bit tense. And so just by doing this, it starts to relax the body. And you can tap the knee with the tapper as well. Yes, you can. You can use the tapper here. You totally can. It's just, I try on these feeds not to bang on about the products too much because I don't want it to look like Avon calling. I like to give you the free stuff. Absolutely use the tapper. The tapper, by the way, since you asked, is very, very useful to tap the joints. Okay. Oh, thank you about my products. Hang on, Shingles. I'll come to that in a second. So so actually, just whilst you're asking me about the tapper, so that was just a little bit about COPD. I hope that's helpful. But basically, the trick is the liver and the heart. Okay, it's actually manifesting, but you can tap the lungs as well, of course. And again, we come back to the morning qigong, tapping, healing sounds, harmonizing the liver. Look at the heart and the liver fact sheets, and then the lungs, not the lungs first, interestingly. Okay, and the tapping here is probably the thing to do, but tapping in general is extremely good for the liver, and so is all of the qigong movements that I'm doing. And if anybody is feeling she'd make a crap April lady. Jules, do you mind not swearing on my live feed? I would be a really bad April caller because I just want to give everything away. I was like, oh, go on, have it. Talking of which, I hope people started to receive their free oils because I know some of the people this morning said that they'd arrived. Menopausal women. Okay, so they were the main questions that we've had. So we now got questions about diet and menopause. Turkey neck. We did turkey neck. I've done that one before, but basically turkey neck, you need to work on the bladder. So basically download the kidney fact sheet and use your restorer, and you want to like oil, but press straight down the back like this. But the best thing of all is to do the qigong, and really for something like that, again, I know I'm always going on about angle, all right, Shingles, all right, Jules, hang on, Aaron's 12 Rivers, but I can't stress enough that the minute you've started to get like a real named something, that the best thing to do are the 12 Rivers, because qigong is just amazing for the body. If you've got strong qi, you will be in good health. Okay, it is that simple. And the more problems you've got, the more there needs to be addressed and the deeper down the journey you've got to go. So you start with me, and then we go on to the 12 Rivers, and then after that, there's all sorts of other things as well. Right, so shingles is largely a problem of the immune system. Okay, so what happens is we call this a pathogen lurking on the interior. Oh, I love that one. It's like the hooded claw. It's kind of sitting in the body like this, and it sits in the ganglia, the lower back, right? And what happens is it kind of sits there, okay? And that's fine, because if your body is strong, which most bodies are because we're strong, it just does that and it holds it, okay? But what happens is sometimes when life gets on top of you, your immune system weakens, and therefore de facto this pathogen, which is the shingle virus, or the herpes virus, starts to kind of strengthen back up. And then you've got this kind of lock thing that takes place. And so this is your immune system, and this is the pathogen. And it sort of does this. And this is why shingles will then go around this area here. Now, this in Chinese medicine is called the daimai, the girdle belt. It's an extra channel, okay? It's a deeper reservoir. The way we describe the flow of qi in the body is you have these rivers. There's 12 organs. Each organ has a river. The river flows all over the body, okay? And they all interconnect with one another. And basically, when you're tapping and gua sharing and doing qigong, you're basically addressing them. Basic rule, okay? You've then got these deeper reservoirs of qi, which are there as like backup. They're like savings accounts, okay? So when you're slightly overdoing it and you're spending on your organs and you're taxing yourself, these deeper rivers will kind of provide you with qi. But the aging process, if you keep abusing it, then you start to weaken and age, and then the symptoms crop up, and that's what's going on. So what goes on with shingles is the reason most of the time it comes around this band is because it's manifesting in the dymi, okay, because that's where the body is holding onto it in this deep reservoir, and it's normally when the immune system is starting to kind of go, oh, like this, that the pathogen kind of roars into action, and then the body goes, oh my God, we don't want that, and whacks it out through the skin because it's trying to get rid of it. So what you have to do is first is download the immunity fact sheet, which is there, and do everything on it as much as you possibly can, and gua sha regularly around this dymi. It starts here, okay, there, and it comes around the body to here, okay, like this. Now, what I tend to do is I will use my comb. I will actually use 2 combs in this instance, okay, because what I do, so I haven't got 2 combs on me, the other one's in the shower, but I will go round like this in the shower every day. Prevention, not cure. And remember, this is not a substitute for Western medicine advice, okay? So, and by the way, you don't need to use these tools because you could use a hairbrush, I guess, to do this. So you would go round the body like this, because what you want to do is you want to be constantly clearing this dymi in order to allow the body to just keep it moving, okay? And then you need to follow all of the advice on the immunity fact sheet to keep your immune system strong, okay? And the ways to keep the immune system strong. Okay, guess what I'm going to say next? Qigong. Well, it's true. Qigong has been scientifically proven to strengthen the immune system. Okay, so like, and Jules has actually allowed me to go on IGTV and say that. It's like, it has been, I went, are you sure? She went, yep. So, and she gave me all the studies. And when we put our Qigong fact sheet up, which will indeed be this week, we will cite some of the studies, and it has indeed been proven to do so. And again, it's free. Tapping is really good for the immune system. It allows the cells of the immune system to flow smoothly around the body. Tap with your fingertips. Tap with a loosely clenched fist. Of course, tap with my tapper, but you don't have to, okay? Although in the case of shingles, obviously a lot of it's on the back. So in that instance, I will refer to tapper because it's easy to reach the back. Ta-da! Look. Like that, because those are quite, I mean, you can just about do it. It's not quite as satisfying though. It's a bit like putting fake tan on. There's always that bit in the middle where you can't quite get there. So it's a bit like that. So, but I can't stress enough that, you know, a strong immune system is not just taking vitamin C. Okay, there's a little bit more to it than that. And meditation before going to bed, I would, it's better to do it a little bit before then. Otherwise it's too close to sleep. So I would tend to say meditating ideally around 10 and 4 o'clock. But if that doesn't quite work with your timetable, well, I'd probably do it around 7. Wouldn't do it much later than that, maybe 8 at the latest, something like that. So that's a bit about shingles, and just to say that the immune system loves meditation, it loves regularity, it loves the right foods. It goes right back down to everything that we discuss in the book, which is in here, which is about breath and the hot, cold temperatures. That's why the Russian banya is such a good thing. That's why I religiously go and absolutely rave about it. Hot, cold bathing, so good for you. Like, you know, assuming you're in basically okay health, always have your shower on like coldest possible setting at the end. So I go into my shower, this I don't genuinely do. I use my Hey bath minerals shower minerals, and I do the rescue breath. It's really important. And then I will blast myself with cold water for about 20 seconds, like really, really, really cold, as much as I can. And going into the banyas is just like the most extreme version of that, and it's absolutely purges everything out of the body. So that's that one. Right, okay, so where are we now? Should you continue to comb, brushing, or right, so basically, if you've got very bad bruising, so no, when you've got, when you've got gua sha, right, everybody shars differently, and sweaty hands and feet, yes, okay, hang on a second. Jules, can I leave you to do the gua sha question, please, about the bruising, and I will do sweaty hands and feet. So basically that's because there's too much heat inside the body, and the body is sending it out. You've got the heat, the fire points of the heart are basically here and here. And these are, so that's why the body's trying to get the heat out from there. And on the feet, it's largely because there's the kidney down there, and that's to do with the fluids. So basically, there's a bit of an imbalance. So there's too much heat inside his body, so we need to calm the heat. So the rescue breath is really, really good, particularly when you go like that, because it gets the heat out of the body this way. And again, tapping, really, really good, and combing it would be really good for that, because it would just get the heat out, straight out of the hands, and I would then take it down the arms at the same time, and just do that every day, and do it preventatively. Don't just wait for the heat to kind of strike. I would sort of comb in the shower from here down the arms like this, like that, and then I would be combing kind of along the feet and up the inside of the legs in the shower as well, if that's okay. So that's a pretty that's fairly accurate there, one on sweating. But I tell you what, actually, Jules, can you make a note of sweating? Because we're going into the summer months, and there's more that we can discuss with sweating. Because one of the main problems is we block sweat from our armpits because we wear deodorants. And so what the body's going to do is it's just going to send it down to get rid of it. So it's just too much heat inside the body. So that's that. I think the tapping would really help that as well, actually. I really do. Sorry, I don't really understand that question. If someone's weak and has muscular dystrophy, ooh. Okay, so what I would do when you have yes, acid reflux, too much heat in the stomach, and when muscular dystrophy, muscular dystrophy, when you've got something which is kind of quite big like that, that's when you need to start with the healing sounds, really. When you've got something which is quite, major impairment, you need to build the body's, you need to kind of get the probiotics going within the body. And the probiotics are things like the rescue breath, the meditation, and the healing sounds above all. And this is why actually in the morning I do the healing sounds for quite a long time with the group, because basically they're like, it's like a tuning fork on the body, and it literally raises the vibration up. And when you do that, followed by tapping, has a really major benefit to the body. And also anything to do with the muscles, always it's the spleen. The spleen has the the spleen has a responsibility for the muscles. So when you're looking at muscular situations, you always want to download the spleen fact sheet first. That's that one. Right, weight loss. We had the lady wanted to talk about weight loss. Sorry, I've literally got to blow my nose, do my head in. Oh. Thank you, sorry. We did do diets the other day, but let's just do a bit of a recap. So basically the whole thing about the diet industry is it's an industry. Sorry, I'm just going to sit down for a minute, so let's just take that up a bit. And when you need to lose weight and you can't, and I know all about this, basically it's because in Western medicine, sort of the metabolism. In Chinese medicine, there are 3 organs involved which will stop you losing weight, okay? The liver, the spleen, and the kidneys. So the first thing is download those 3 fact sheets. And the second thing is take my book and read the digestive chapter, okay? So the first thing to knock off your list is it's how you eat. Okay, if you are rushing your food and eating processed food that's not well cooked and easy to digest and local and appropriate to your body, it's not going to work, okay? And if you want there's 3 rules of diets that I would normally give people in clinic, okay? 1 is the 4 whites, which is flour, wheat, sugar, salt, okay? Cut them all out. The other one is the low candida diet, or the anti-candida diet, sorry, which just Google that one. And the other one, because that gets all the kind of damp forming foods out of your diet. And the other one is the low histamine diet, which I find if you're someone that gets quite sort of hot and sort of itchy, or you're menopausal or that kind of thing, or allergic and sort of bloated up here, as opposed to bloated down. Bloated down here is more anti-candida, bloated up here is more histamine, okay? And if you are really, really stressed, there's often the body's producing high quantities of histamine. So those are the 3 basic diets that I normally recommend on the basis that I can't actually see you and do a proper TD, okay? And then I will always tell you that you need to follow the advice in the book, which is all about like how to eat, like regularity, no ice, chewing your food, trying not to eat, kind of like not to kind of starve yourself all week long and then binge at the weekend, that kind of advice. And then the next thing to understand is that basically when you find it difficult to lose weight, as I did, because when I entered my pregnancy, well, I've never been skinny, but when I finished my pregnancy with my twins, I was 20 stone afterwards, and normal diet and exercise kind of advice got me down to 15 stone, and I used to weigh 9. And so like then I was sort of stuck at 15 stone and nothing worked at all, like literally nothing, not even literally. I did a juice fast for 10 days and I lost a pound. So this is how bad things were, and it was really. And then the minute I ate literally like a piece of broccoli, it just went straight back on. So it's pretty miserable. And the reason why was because those 3 organs were completely and utterly destroyed by this very, very full-on pregnancy that I had. And that is relevant because this is what normally is applying to people who can't lose weight, that normally those 3 organs, for whatever reason, are not working very well. And normally with the liver, it's because of a very highly stressed life. And therefore what the liver is doing is that tends to override your diet intentions. And basically that's when you sabotage, because basically the liver has put glucose into the bloodstream all day long because of the stress response. And what happens at night time is it knows it's going to have to do the same thing again the next day, and it just goes, I need food. And you're trying to diet, so you're trying to deny food. And then you get to like 8 o'clock and then you're in the fridge trying to find cheese or chocolate or like anything. That's the liver, okay? So that's the first thing, is you've got to get that stress response under control, and you've got to get the liver under control. And that is tapping, qigong, meditation, okay? And then if you are the sort of person that only needs to look at a piece of cake and put weight on, and I know that feeling, that is because the spleen isn't working properly, and it's just the whole body's just getting damp. And that means everything's just heavy. And the minute you put food inside, it's literally just like putting sugar into a can of Coke. It just goes like that. And you've got to dry that out and strengthen it up. So you need the spleen fact sheet, and this is why the qigong is so good, because it works all around this area. I cannot strengthen it enough. And these healing sounds that we do, the one for the spleen, it's like that. Literally, it's drying out the organ. I mean, it really, really works. I know you think, oh my God, she's mad, but it totally works. And please do the 12 rivers with Aaron. Do the qigong with me. It's completely free. Do Aaron's course. It only takes a week to learn it, and he's a brilliant teacher. And then you've learnt it forever. Do it every day, every day, every day. And then finally, the kidneys. The kidneys are basically a lot to do with the metabolism. And if your kidneys, if you're just like, your energy is low, it means you're just not like burning through the food properly. And that's a lot to do with the kidney yang. So we've got to strengthen the kidneys up. So that is a very, very brief, because we did a whole hour-long masterclass on weight loss, and I will be doing another one, but that was just a quick foray into that. Now, I know that Jules has got to go fairly soon. So good. Well, don't give up either. You don't need to give up either qigong or running. The trick, if you are doing aerobic exercise like running, is please, please, please use your tapper afterwards. It's really important. It's really important to relax the body afterwards, because if you're straining the body with strenuous exercise, you're actually creating more stress hormones, and therefore it's really important to make sure that you relax the body down. So I know Unicorn Bell. Okay, right. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Jules, thank you for answering questions. Just to say, this is not a substitute for Western medicine advice. This is grassroots self-treatment, things that you can do logically for yourself. Bell's palsy, can I please, Jules, make a note of that, and can you add that to next week, please? But tapping, just as a very quick one to tell you, just to start with, tapping is really, really good for anything palsy related. And the liver, please. The liver is to do with Bell's palsy, but I will add that properly onto the team for next week. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I love our Sunday nights feast. Thank you. I love talking to you guys so much. I hope you find it interesting. I love being here. I will see you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning for morning qigong. If I've not sold it to you already, you've got to come and join me at 8 o'clock, and we'll be laughing and making funny noises and moving ourselves around. I'll be telling you about your perky bums and your perky boobs and all the other things that will happen as a result of doing qigong with me. Have a lovely Sunday evening, and I will see you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Good night.